Hey, York Alliance family, Pastor Brian back with you. I have so missed being with you all. Some of these conversations that we've had to have over the last week or two are so much better had in person, face to face, than this way through a camera. But it's almost time. I want to thank those of you who've pushed through that. Some of you have had text message conversations, email conversations, phone calls. I appreciate that, and please feel free to continue to do that. But it's almost time for us to be able to, at least in limited ways, be able to meet in person, and I'm so looking forward to that. So our very first in-person gathering is happening tomorrow. So that is on first Wednesday, June 3rd. I'm recording this on June 2nd, so this is on tomorrow, June 3rd. Wednesday night at 6:30 in the rear parking lot of the church. And so we're going to ask you when you pull in if you are physically able to park in the upper lot, and if you need to be a little bit closer, to park in the lower lot close to the main church building. And then you're going to walk down to the lower lot. We're going to be set up down there. We're going to invite you to bring your own chairs, spread out, and to be part of our worship and prayer time tomorrow night. So bathrooms will be available. However, there's only going to be one person at a time going into the fellowship hall, and they're going to be exiting out the far end of the fellowship hall. We're going to have a little bit of a system set up that way. And so if you are able to go to the bathroom before you come, that's perfect. Otherwise, we will be able, as needed, to be using the bathrooms there. We're going to spread way out, and we're going to invite you to bring your own chairs. So there are guidelines that the elders have put in place. I'd like to just walk through those with you and give you just a little bit of the reasoning behind some of those guidelines. So there are only 5 of them. Let me go through them one at a time. The first one is this. We're asking you to not touch in any way. So that means no handshakes, no hugs, no high fives, no fist bumps. And I know that's really tricky for a lot of us. As I've had the opportunity to see face to face a few of you, it's tough not to want to give you a hug or shake your hand or something. But we're asking everyone to abide by that guideline for the safety and the comfort of everyone. I know that if you ask someone, hey man, can I shake your hand? I really want to shake your hand. And they say yes, that works well. But even that process can put people a bit on edge. And so we're just going to, for these corporate gatherings, ask that there's no touching in any way. The second one is this. We're asking you to please have a mask available just in case. Masks are optional. You're welcome to wear them the whole time. That's totally fine. But we are asking everyone to have a mask available in case of closer contact, and also as you go in and out of the bathrooms, because there'll be other people in a closed space. We're going to ask you to wear masks during those times. And so, again, you don't have to wear them the whole time, but if you prefer to, we're glad for you to do that, but we are asking everyone to have a mask available just in case. There may be times where we're a little bit closer together. We're going to work hard to distance, but if we're closer together, we would ask you also to wear masks at that point as well. The third one is this, and this is a tough one. Children need to stay with either their parents or with extended family throughout the entire gathering. This is the one that's most heartbreaking to me. One of the things I love about York Alliance is that kids feel so comfortable with a large variety of all kinds of different adults. This is a safe place for kids and adults to engage one another. And I love that about York Alliance. However, in this instance, and for the next kind of foreseeable future, we're just not able to do that. And so parents, I would encourage you, talk your kids through that. Let them know. I'll be getting down and connecting with them. We won't be able to touch, but I want to be able to talk with them as I see them, and we're going to be interacting as best we can. But in order, again, to keep safety and keep a comfort level and a predictability for all parents and all people, we're going to ask that parents keep their kids with them, and or with extended family at all times throughout our gatherings. Number 4, we're asking that seating as well as social engagement follow distancing guidelines of at least 6 feet apart. And so that means if you and I are having a conversation, we're going to be a little bit spread apart from one another. And as you come in and set chairs together, we're going to ask you to spread those chairs out at least 6 feet apart. Now, As you come in with your family, please feel free to lump together. In fact, that's preferable. That keeps us from being way, way spread out. And so if you are living with people, if you are connected with people and they're kind of part of your community during this time, then absolutely be closer connected to them. But we're going to ask that non-family members be spread out at least 6 feet apart so we can follow those guidelines as well. That's for when we're sitting, and that's also for as we're interacting with one another. And the last one, which kind of encompasses all of them, but we think it's really important to state out loud, in all cases, whether you personally are concerned or not, we're asking you to sacrifice your own desires out of love for the rest of the community. This is a time where rather than rushing back into what we feel like is normal and what we want, this is a time where it's so important for us to sacrifice our desires for the sake of the larger community. I know we're all at different places in this. I know that our practices for the last 2 or 3 months have been in different places. We've done a lot of different things. And so this may feel very restrictive to you, or this may feel very free to you. We're simply asking that we would all submit our own desires for the sake of the larger good, that we would be able to prefer the others. That's certainly within our gatherings, and that's also something that we're doing, frankly, within our community as well. We're not trying to push ahead of where our community is any more than we're trying to push ahead of where any of us are individually. We're trying to follow Paul's very clear guidance in Romans chapter 14 and 1 Corinthians chapter 8 of opening up our hands with our freedom so that we would be able to prefer others. And so we're going to ask you to do that as we gather. If you hear those 5 guidelines and you just think, there is no way, like when I haven't seen people for 3 months, and when I see somebody that I love at York Alliance, I'm going to give them a hug. I'm not going to be able to help it. I hear you. I get that. Listen, no judgment, but we would ask, if you're not able to follow these guidelines, that you would wait a little bit longer before you engage these in-person gatherings. As we go, we'll continue to evaluate and update things, and we'll let you know when it's time. But if for right now you're not able to follow these guidelines, we would respectfully ask that you stay at home and you engage in other ways. Because in these, particularly these corporate gatherings, we really want to prefer one another and follow these guidelines. And so we're going to be policing that, for lack of a better term. We're going to be watching and trying to help people follow those guidelines, because we want to create a safe place and a predictable space for everyone who comes. So if you're not comfortable coming, we totally get that. There are going to be some for risk factors that are not comfortable being here, some who just aren't ready to follow those guidelines, some that just don't feel comfortable yet, are just not in the place where they're ready to jump into in-person gatherings. And we totally get that. We're going to always be providing alternative ways to connect. And so within this first work gathering, tomorrow, there will be an interactive prayer guide that is going to be sent out. Interactive meaning there'll be YouTube videos that you can watch and prayer points that you're going to be able to engage that are going to parallel some of what we're going to be doing as we gather during First Wednesday. And so I would encourage you, grab that, work through that, and pray right along with us from home. We're not going to be able to live stream it because of where we're located, but we are going to send out that interactive prayer guide, and so we'd encourage you to do that. With our community groups are meeting, many of them starting to meet in person, and that's wonderful. But if you're not ready to do that, there are Zoom options, whole groups that are staying on Zoom, and there are also options where the groups are gathering in person, but a few of the members are coming via Zoom, the courtesy of other members that are there in person. And so we would love for you to connect, even if you're not ready to jump into all of this yet. We totally get that. And so we'll be doing that. And we will also be continuing to have a video option for our Sunday morning worship gatherings for the foreseeable future. And so we're really excited. Not this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday is going to be our last live stream in the format that we're doing it right now. So everything this Sunday will look just like it has. We'll start right at 10:30, and we'll be live and connected to one another. Starting on June 14th, we'll have our in-person zone worship gatherings. And so those zone worship gatherings are going to be spread out 3 different parks around York County, and they're going to each have at each of those parks 2 gatherings, an 8:30 and a 10:30. They're each going to be about an hour long. They're going to have live worship, live preaching, and we're going to be able to be together following all of the guidelines I just went through at a place that's relatively close to your home. We're seeking to spread them out as best we can as the county transitions from yellow. There are some places where we're not yet allowed to meet, and we know we're going to be allowed to meet in the future, and so we're waiting on some of that transition. So we'll be letting you know by next week firmly what the locations are, where we're going to be meeting, and some of the more specifics with that. One of those gatherings, one of the 8:30 gatherings, will be designated a high-risk gathering. And during that gathering, we'll be asking you not just to follow the guidelines that I just went through, but several others as well to create a safe space for those who long to be in person but are concerned about risk for a variety of different factors. And so we'll be doing that as well. All of that information is going to come to you next week, so keep watching these video updates. We'll get more information to you next week on that. One of the analogies that I've been thinking through during this time is the idea of the difference between a light switch when you walk into a room and a dimmer switch when you walk into a room. I think there's some of us that want this whole thing to be over. We feel like we're in darkness, and we want to walk in and flip on the light. It's just not going to be able to work that way, both because of the culture around us, the community around us, the science that we understand, as well as preferring one another, that Romans 14, 1 Corinthians 8 principle. We can't just switch everything on. Instead, it's a lot more like a dimmer switch. And what I mean by that is that as we turn it up, we're going to be bringing more and more light in over a period of time. We're going to be gathering in a variety of different ways, smaller groups, outside, sometimes smaller groups inside with airflow, little bits at a time. And it's going to be like the dimmer switch is being turned up. But I want you to know that wherever you are on that continuum, if you're still at very, very dim and you're just not ready to turn it up any further yet, we totally get that. We not just respect that, we want to make sure that we're providing means for you to stay connected and stay fed and engaged during this time. And so that's why we're going to continue our videos. We're going to continue video services on Sunday morning. So on the 14th, there'll be 6 gatherings around the county, but there will also be at 8:30 in the morning, in case you want to start a little earlier like everybody else, a release of a full worship gathering, just like what you would experience on a typical live stream. And it's going to release at 8:30. You can watch it at 8:30. You can watch it at 10:30, or really any time that you want through the week. We'll have a worship team and announcements and preaching and response and all of the normal pieces of our gathering. And so if you would rather stay on YouTube, we totally get that. And as we turn that dimmer switch up, please don't feel pressured to hurry ahead. Feel invited. In all of this, we want to invite you, and we want you to be free to step in as you're ready. And we want to create space for those of you who are ready and longing to be connected. We want to create space for that. As you have any questions at all, comments, thoughts, any of that, please consider emailing. We have an email address set up, questions@yorkalliance.org. It's a great way to send a question out, and it'll get disseminated to those who can best answer that question and get back to you. So you may get a response email, you may get a response phone call, but we'd love to be able to be in dialogue with you. And so we want to hear where you're coming from. We want to know what's going on with you individually as part of this journey. And so if that's helpful to you, please feel free to use that. So looking forward to seeing at least some of you tomorrow night at First Wednesday. Looking forward to the beginning of these in-person gatherings. We do believe that discipleship is best lived out in-person physical community. And so as soon as we're able to do that, we want to be doing that, and we want to do that in wise ways. And so we're looking forward to being able to pray together. I think it's so appropriate that prayer is the first gathering, because prayer is the first work. And so I hope that I'll see you tomorrow night. But if I'm not able to see you, I hope that you will join us through our interactive prayer guide and pray along with us as we go through this difficult and exciting, I think, a really important season for us as a church. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions, please email questions@yorkalliance.org. Have a great day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow.